Welcome to Two Balls and a Mic, episode. What episode are we on, Chiba?
Episode 13, right?
I think so, 13.
That is the one number I mispronounce all the time. 13.
Really?
13, yeah.
So
Always get made fun of for that.
today's episode, we're actually going to go ahead and cover a couple of news stories, sports stories that actually happened over the weekend. The NFL draft happened starting last Thursday. Some interesting picks, and we're going to talk to see who did the best choices and what the hell Green Bay was thinking about taking a replacement for Aaron Rodgers. We're also going to go ahead and talk about The Last Dance, episode 4 and 5. Episode 3 and 4 came out, and I think one of the best episodes so far. We're going to discuss how that went down. And we're going to end it up with talking about soccer and some championships that were denied. But yeah, it was a good week for sports. Still no live sports happening. Last Thursday we had the first ever virtual NFL draft. I missed football. I missed analyzing football players and who is coming in where and what's happening.
It was really interesting to see how the virtual draft went, you know? We thought we were going to hear no boos. He got boos.
Oh, definitely.
But I mean, there were some interesting picks and some teams that did really good and then some teams that fucking did horrible, you know?
Yeah, so, I mean, it was a first for a lot of people because this draft, obviously, because of what's going on, was supposed to be held in little boats in the middle of the desert in Las Vegas. But unfortunately, because of the situation that's happening, they had to move it over into Roger Goodell's basement, which, if that's Roger Goodell's basement, it was not too shabby. It wasn't as crazy as I thought. It was a nice little basement.
Yeah, but I mean, by the third, fourth round, instead of standing up for every pick, he was just saying it from his small couch that he had there.
I mean, the man has an AARP card. He's not a young man, so for him to go so long and have so many picks and just waving at the people behind you, that bothered me so much because he's waving at the people that's cheering behind him and he's saying, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" But the camera's in front of him, and so they see Roger Goodell giving him their back instead of just saying, "Hey, how's it going?" But that was interesting. I mean, I don't particularly care for Goodell, but I think he won a couple people over. He had a couple of fuck ups. He did say 2020's draft is going to be this year. But overall, I think Roger Goodell did a good job. What do you think how he did?
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. I mean, I think as the least we mentioned the commissioner, it's the better the job he's done, you know?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, first overall pick, I mean, actually, first, you guys like our new logo? We got a new logo.
Yeah, so if this works out, it's going to be edited here, and scroll still happening. But yeah, I mean, shout out to Mike Kowalski, Creator K. Follow him on Twitter. He has a show and tell podcast. He's the editor for the great Jimmy Conrad. But
if you guys kept up with us, he's taking part of the our tournaments that we had for FIFA.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, he did a really good job on the logo.
No, I love it, and we have variations of it. People are responding well to it. But somebody who's really good at protecting the logo, Roger Goodell, the NFL logo. I mean, it went as well as it could have gone. I hear that the ratings were insane. Even like they just destroyed whatever The Last Dance got, and for the best documentary of all time. I mean, it looks like it's one of the best of all time. To get destroyed by the NFL, ahí está, es papi NFL. Like you know who the big dog is.
Yeah, it's NFL up here underneath this NBA. But I mean, people are excited. People are excited for football to come back. People are excited for fantasy football to come back, and there's some really, really good rookies coming up. to pick up for fantasy.
Are you gonna? So let's start. Let's go over some of these in the first round. So obviously, number one, the worst kept secret in the nation was Joe Burrow, quarterback from LSU, going first to the Bengals. So I mean, did you think there was going to be any?
No surprise there. That was the predicted first pick. There was no way they were going to go with Chase Young. They needed a QB. They want to like change everything. And this could be the guy for it.
This could be a good guy for it. Ohio man, he won the hearts of America by in his Heisman speech, saying, this one's for all the little boys and girls without food in their stomach, and it was fantastic for Athens, Ohio. So I mean, good pickup. The Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, is still with the Bengals technically. So obviously, with getting this number one draft pick for Joe Burrow, he's going to be the guy as soon as the season starts. So where do you think Andy Dalton's going to end up? I know we've talked about this a little bit, but now it's official. Joe Burrow is the new quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he'll go anywhere. Maybe he'll end up being Burrow's backup. Maybe kind of be like a mentor.
Yeah.
Which would be ideal for him. But at the end of the day, like, there's very limited starting spots, if any, left right now in the NFL.
I mean, who would you take him over? I mean,
you still got the Patriots, right? They still got the Patriots as a chance. I mean, I know they signed a QB, a rookie QB.
Yeah.
Drafted, I think. But I mean, for Andy Dalton, I don't know, man. What do you think?
I mean, Andy Dalton can go. I mean, he can go to the Patriots. Andy Dalton can also stay for another couple of years, just know his place. He can mentor.
Maybe fight for a starting spot. You never know.
Yeah, but I think that Cincinnati's already sold on them. I mean, we all knew, and here's a bothered me that took the longest time for that first pick. I know for a fact, like. This was some fucking commercial shit. Like, hey guys, we all know you're gonna get Joe Burrow, but hey, use those 10 minutes so we can use these packages that we've been saving up for this whole time. Because imagine, you got 10 minutes, cool. At 9 minutes and 50 seconds left, they say, okay, go Joe Burrow. Now you just have 10 minutes for Washington to be on the clock, so you can't show your 10 minutes of film that you have on Joe Burrow. So that was some bullshit. But yeah, so number two, from what we...
So it's probably the 10 longest minutes for Andy Dalton, too.
También.
Poor guy. I mean, it's a business,
No, definitely. Yeah, poor guy. Poor millionaire. Oh, boo-hoo. I mean, in this situation, there's poor guy. If he gets injured, if a millionaire gets injured, it's still an injury. But yeah, so the best player overall, from what a lot of scouts were saying, actually went number 2 to the Washington Redskins, Chase Young.
Yeah, Chase Young. The Redskins got a great pickup, man. This guy's definitely going to boost their defense. And I've seen highlights of him, man. The guy's a monster, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at probably the next a future defensive player of the year, after Aaron Donald. After TJ Watt. TJ Watt's looking really good, and Bosa as well. So this guy's kind of be following them,
No, it's one of those impact players where as soon as he gets into a starting lineup, he's going to automatically have an impact on that. Going to the Washington Redskins at 6'5", 264 pounds from Ohio State. This man is a monster. And then number 3 pick, Ohio State with a cornerback, Jeff Okudah.
Yeah, to the Lions, man. He's a great cornerback, great skill, great speed. And from what I saw on the videos, I mean, honestly, I'm not the biggest college football guy, but when I start seeing all this, like, experts talking on TV about him and seeing his highlights and seeing all that, like, you can tell that the guy is ready to go, and the Lions are kind of set with this guy too, man.
No, definitely. And hey, you're an expert now on the NFL online, not TV. So read up, buddy. But yeah, Jeff Okudah, he's going to the Lions, replacing a hole left by Darius Slay, who went over to my Eagles. So
Mm-hmm.
they needed that to fill up that hole for defensive coach Matt Patricia over in Detroit. The three, number one, number two, number three, first picks of the 2020 draft, all at one point played at Ohio State. I know you don't watch a lot
Yeah.
of college football. Admittedly, I don't either. I have a really good ¿cómo se llama? Un compadre que
Mm-hmm.
he watches a lot of Oklahoma, OU. So I kind of follow
Okay.
OU, and
Mm-hmm.
so one of those big, college teams is Ohio State, and has always been. But I think I've started to kind of like college football a little bit more right now. I take it over
I
anything.
mean, I do like watching the games because you could tell the players they're really playing because they do have a passion for the school.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they're playing to try to get a top pick in the draft.
And then moving on to number 4, Andrew Thomas from Georgia going to the New York Giants. And just to give you an idea of how crappy the NFC East division did, at least the bottom portion, you have number 2 and number 4 picks going to the Washington Redskins and the Giants. So that division is going to get a little bit more competitive. This is an O-line protection for Danny up in New York.
Yeah,
So
which was honestly what he needed. This guy could potentially open up holes for Saquon as well.
Yeah.
And I think it was a smart pick for the Giants.
See, this is like already like next level fantasy football, because when I started playing fantasy football, it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I had never even seen any like fantasy football. And so those first couple of years I was like, okay, like names, cool, like stats, I'll pay attention. But then when the draft comes over, now that I know a little bit more and have a couple championships under my belt, you know, I look at these drafts. I'm like, okay, so number 1, obviously, that's going to be a quarterback 2 or a quarterback 3. Number Chase Young, that's going to help the Washington defense. Washington defense is actually pretty nice if they stay healthy. Okuda, again, same thing, defense. So that can potentially help Matt Patricia out. And then number 4, again, Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones benefit from having Andrew Thomas. So those are some fantasy look aheads. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I was the same way when I started fantasy football. When I first started, I honestly didn't even know most of the players' names. I would only know like the popular players.
yeah,
And just playing and learning from fantasy football, now I know even like players that you don't even have in your team. I know their names too, like linemen and stuff.
yeah.
Because those players do matter because then they help out your players get points.
Oh, definitely. And it's, if I guess that's a tip, if you're into fantasy football and just start knowing other players that don't necessarily get you points. Just look into that and how they, because to be completely honest, if you put me in front of a whiteboard and put X's and O's in football, you lose me. I never played football. My mom never let me. Good, because I know for a fact I would have like had all kinds of CTE and I wouldn't have wanted to stop. But it's one of those things where it's like, these are stats, these are numbers that are talking to me, so it's a little bit different. And then moving on to number 5, and then we'll kind of expedite this. Always
you called this one.
I did.
You did call this pick.
I did. The Miami Dolphins were just sending all types of signals. Hey, we're not going to take Tua. We're going to take Justin Herbert. You know what? Tua injury this. Why would we take him? It would be, I can't remember. Some reporter in Miami had said like, oh, it would be irresponsible to take Tua Tagovailoa over Justin Herbert just because of it. And again, here we go. Tua Tagovailoa from Alabama.
I don't know if you saw the meme of him being compared to Brucey from The Longest Yard.
Oh yes.
Man, he responded. He quoted it. And he was like, "Brucey." Like you can tell the guy has a sense of humor. He's excited to be in the league. He's excited to be in the Dolphins, and this Dolphins team is looking pretty stacked, man, especially defensively.
Oh no, this and Brian Flores, former New England not head coach, but just assistant coach. that he's building a pretty good team up in or down in Miami.
Yeah, man, it's a team to watch out for this season.
I think it's definitely going to be a team to watch out for.
Could be one of the dark horses for sure.
But Tua, he's coming in. Obviously, he has a lot of health concerns. He had the hip. I think he had an ankle or leg or knee. I don't know. Back in college, when he first came on the scene, his first game he came in and just destroyed in Alabama in the championship game. Just a storybook career, college career. If he stays healthy, that's a big if. It said that it's a generational talent, and he's gonna be one of those quarterbacks that, looking forward. You have the Peyton Mannings, the Drew Brees, the Tom Brady's. That's the new generation coming in. So Patrick Mahomes is already up there. If you ask Chiva, what's his face, Allen is gonna be up there too. He's not.
No, for sure.
No.
I mean, the question for the Dolphins is, who's going to start game one?
They have 3 quarterbacks. That's crazy.
They have 3 quarterbacks. You got Tua, you got Fitzmagic coming back, and you still got Josh Rosen, who is honestly a big letdown so far.
He has been a big letdown. He wasn't set up for success over in Arizona for that first year, and then they just said, all right.
He was known as kind of like the golden boy at UCLA, right?
Yeah, he was the golden boy. It's his generation. I always preferred like LA quarterbacks, stay Darnold. But Fitzpatrick is probably going to start the season. Second in line is going to be Tua, just learning from him, and then seeing how far the Dolphins get. Because look, Fitzmagic is named Fitzmagic for a reason. He can get stuff done. He can get wins. He can get dubs. He's a player. He's a smart guy. He's a Harvard boy.
He's proved it time and time again. Like he deserves that shot already. I mean, the guy's 37 years old. He doesn't have much left.
Yeah.
But if he's throwing those numbers, like, he's gonna get a starting spot. But I mean, again, I don't see Fitzmagic finishing the season. I think it'll be Tua taking over.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if there's injuries involved, or maybe Fitzmagic just doesn't provide the numbers that the Miami Dolphins want.
Yeah, because I mean Fitzpatrick, he can put up the numbers. I remember him putting him up with the Jets, Tampa Bay, just going insane. That was a great fantasy season.
Yeah.
But now with the Dolphins, it's they don't have the same weapon. You don't have a Mike Evans. You don't have who was it? Robbie Anderson, I guess, at the time. But the Dolphins do seem like a good team coming up this season and for the future, honestly. And then they had the pick that they passed on that they kept saying that they were going to take. Number 6, we have the San Diego.
Oh, whoa! San Diego what? The San Diego what, man?
That team doesn't exist anymore. I'm gonna leave it in there. That team doesn't exist anymore.
The Los Angeles Chargers.
The SoCal Chargers. Jesus, they really need to change.
I mean, honestly, it could have gone either way for them. They picked Herbert. They had the chance on Isaiah Simmons, which honestly, I think I agree with my friend. My friend was telling me they needed a linebacker, and they decided to go for the quarterback. So,
yeah,
what was your take on that?
So, I mean, obviously, I kind of like look at how the Chargers do. I don't follow them, but I just know who they have, and a little bit of the situation because I do listen to a lot of sports talk radio here in San Diego who still cover the Chargers like if they were here. But you have Justin Herbert coming in from Oregon. He was said to be, a good replacement for Rivers a while back. He's bigger, he's stronger. Some question his accuracy, but it's one of those things too. Same thing with Tua. Is he going to go in and start, or is he going to go in and learn from a legend like Tyrod Taylor?
A legend.
Yeah, I mean, last time Tyrod was in the situation, he had a Hard Knocks following him because Baker Mayfield was coming up, and so I don't think Justin Herbert has the same. Obviously Baker was the number 1 pick, and I'd say I'd take Baker over Herbert at this point, or even in a couple of years, he has a higher ceiling. I think it's gonna happen again, man. Taylor's gonna get the start for the season. He's gonna start half the season. He's gonna go 500. He's probably gonna get injured, and if he doesn't, there's gonna be a lot of talk about, hey, we'll throw in the new kid. They're gonna throw him in there. He's gonna win 2 games, 3 games out of 2, and then they're just gonna ride him out for the rest of the season. Hopefully, get a high draft pick because there is absolutely no way this team is beating the Chiefs.
Wow. You know what that season sounds like a lot?
Huh.
Like the Cleveland Browns last season.
Yeah, and I mean,
two seasons ago, right?
If you look at the teams, I mean, they were pretty much in the same and similar situations where they had a good wide receiver with Beckham, OBJ, and then on the other side you have Keenan Allen. You have decent tight ends with Hunter Henry coming back, and then over there Njoku, who wasn't really utilized as much as he should have been. But going down the list, you still have serviceable running backs. I take Cleveland's backfield over the Chargers when they had Melvin Gordon and Eckler. Melvin Gordon's not there anymore. Obviously, he's now with the Denver Broncos. But even with Eckler and I don't know who's Jackson might be behind him. I don't think they have the team enough to again go up against a Chiefs, let alone a Broncos team who's tempting. Who's tempting? The Broncos did pick up a couple of wide receivers, gave Drew Lock a couple weapons. They gave him Jerry Jeudy from Alabama. A lot of Alabama talent going in the first round. The SEC broke the record for 15 picks in the first round, most in draft history. But again, that Chargers pick is interesting. Do you think he's going to start, or who do you think is going to take that Charger spot in the beginning of the season?
No, I think it's how you said. I think Taylor's gonna end up starting, and I mean, at the end of the day, who knows? Like if he does get injured again, that would be probably one of the saddest careers in a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, the guy looks promising. It looks like he has a future with the Chargers, and I think hopefully they don't rush him in. Hopefully they give him a couple, maybe a year to kind of settle in.
Definitely. But then moving on, I guess that was kind of the ones that people that listen to us now kind of care for. After that, Auburn defensive tackle Derek Brown went to the Carolina Panthers. Oh, look at that. You have and then again the pick that people said should have gone to the Chargers because he was there was Clemson offensive line. Linebacker Isaiah Simmons from Clemson, who went to Arizona. Arizona, who is a team.
They're looking stacked. Good, man. I mean, both offensively, this guy on their defense now, man. It's looking scary, man. As a Rams fan, it's looking really scary.
Yeah, so Isaiah Simmons and DeAndre Hopkins now in your division. In a division where, honestly, the Rams have no business even playing next season.
Nope. I mean, the Cardinals are looking really strong. It all depends on how Kyler Murray does, though. Like if he's gonna have a season like he did last season, I think the Cardinals should be set to make playoffs. And honestly, it'd be kind of cool to see. What's his name? Fitzgerald back in playoffs, because he honestly deserves it. He's a legend, and what a chance for Kyler Murray to be throwing to a legend, to Fitzgerald, and now to DeAndre Hopkins.
That's gonna. I mean, the fact that Fitzgerald's still playing is amazing. But those are weapons. Still having Kenyon Drake in the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, the guy absolutely destroyed it last season when he moved over to the Cardinals, scoring like 4 touchdowns in 2 separate occasions in each game.
I mean,
destroying everybody's fantasy chances that played against them.
I mean, people always, look at teams like Seattle, because I mean, Seattle. Even now, we haven't mentioned Seattle. Seattle is always forgotten about a little bit, but they're always going to be there.
They're always there.
They're always going to come back. If you have Russell Wilson, you're never out of it. Kyler Murray compared to Russell Wilson a lot. But I don't think Russell Wilson ever had weapons like he has now. I mean, Fitzgerald at the end of the
I mean,
season, but I don't think.
if you see what he's doing
Yeah,
with Metcalf and then with Lockett, imagine what Russell Wilson would do with DeAndre Hopkins and
oh
Fitzgerald.
God, oh jeez, that would have been nasty. But yeah, I mean, Arizona looking like a good fan. I mean, I'm gonna tie this back to fantasy because it's football. Looking like a pretty good fantasy offense to have. A lot of weapons on there, just all over. They're gonna be spreading the ball around, and a good defense too. So that's gonna suck for you. We'll move you down.
Yeah.
I'll move you down a little bit over to the Raiders. The Raiders who took a wide receiver from Alabama again, Henry Ruggs III.
Henry Ruggs, man, that was such a great pick, man. They compared this guy a lot to Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And a little bit to Antonio Brown because he has that speed and that route running that's really good. And he was the fastest player in the 2020 draft class. I think his time was like in the 40-yard dash. It was like 4:20 something, I think.
Mm-hmm. Faster than me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I mean, that's a good wide receiver weapon for either Derek Carr or Marcus Mariota. I mean, both. They're tied to the hip. I don't know if you remember this, but you know how Derek Carr got his ankle snapped a couple years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had Marcus Mariota and Derek Carr on the same team one year, and on the same day that Derek Carr tore his ankle, Mariota tore his ankle. So they're kind of tied at the ankle. Like I'll never forget that day. I don't know why. I know why. I was pissed. But yeah. So
I mean, if Derek Carr manages to stay healthy, it should be good.
Yeah.
But I think it's good that they got Mariota to add a little pressure to Derek Carr because I mean the guy has the talent. The guy has the potential. I mean, he did have an MVP run before he broke his leg. You know.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's what we'll do next week. I was just looking at it. We've talked about all the AFC West teams. We'll continue right now. But I think we'll do a mock standings for next season, and now that the draft is over, to see who's going where. Because I think the Raiders are going to do better than the Chargers.
I mean, it's looking good, but I mean, you still got the Broncos who are looking all right, depending how Drew Luck does, and you got. I mean,
it sounds like you said
champions Kansas City Chiefs. You know.
Yeah, it sounds like you said Drew Luck, which is like a shorthand for Andrew Luck. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting division this year. And then moving to number 17, pick number 17, those fucking Cowboys.
Man, they took your CD, man.
Our guy.
That's the guy all Eagles Eagles fans wanted, right?
My God, we wanted him so bad. CD Lamb, who quickest hands in the draft.
Oh,
I don't know if the combine, but
that was hilarious, man.
Which is part of the reason why I like this at-home version of the draft, because you see little things like this. The amount of things that happen throughout the draft in the background are crazy. I don't know if you saw Mike Vrabel's family. There was somebody who was taking a crap in the mirror. People had different types of fun with it. But yes. Hello. Yes. So we had we had Trey Young's ex-girlfriend sitting next to CeeDee Lamb as he was getting chosen by the Dallas Cowboys. She reached for a phone, and he reached with the quickness. So, I see this as I don't know if you know this, Jerry Jones was doing the draft from his private yacht. He was in the middle of the water. And he did all his picks alone. He told all his staff and his coaching, all the people he pays to do this, don't bother me during the draft. Don't talk to me. I'm going to pick who I'm going to pick. He came up with CeeDee Lamb. I'll give it to the old guy. But I think this is payback for when Jason Witten retired and Dallas Goedert was right there for the picking, the best tight end of that draft, and honestly been panning out very well for the Eagles to have Ertz and Goddard. It would have been awesome too because his first name is Dallas, and he would have gone to the Dallas Cowboys. But at the end of the day, Howie Roseman went in and said, "Come on to Philly." So I think a little bit this pick was just to mess with him because we were 4 or 5 picks from getting him.
Yeah.
Um,
And I know. I mean, a lot of people then thought, okay, they're gonna go for Justin Jefferson, and you guys ended up getting Jalen.
Yes.
So how? Again, as an Eagles fan,
so Jalen
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. So I was doing a little bit of research on Jalen Reagor, and he seems like Nelson Aguilar 2.0, and that's not what you want to hear.
Guy's 5'11", 206 pounds.
Fast. He's quick. However, his hands are questionable sometimes, which is exactly what Nelson Aguilar had when he came out of USC, and he had his struggles in his rookie year. He bounced back in his second year. Eventually was part of a Super Bowl team, but this last year we really could have needed him when everybody was out. Everybody. But even then, I would have liked to have taken Justin Jefferson from LSU. I'll take what I can get, I guess. It's a wide receiver from a very deep wide receiver draft. But it's one of those things where hopefully it pans out. We have in the Eagles, we have Alshon, we have Deshaun still there.
And you guys still have promising weapons.
Yeah, and so
if they manage to stay healthy.
Yeah, exactly. If we manage to stay healthy, and I think if
you guys are looking good if they stay healthy. If it's anything like last season, it's gonna be really tough.
Definitely. And then a couple of Chargers, Saints, Niners came back into the first round. They had traded out from their picks, and then number 26 from Utah State. We did a little draft Zoom, and so at this point we're just like, okay, I think it's winding down. And then pick number 26 happened, and I don't know what was your first reaction when you saw Jordan Love. First, when you saw Green Bay trade up to move into the first round to get Jordan Love, a quarterback from Utah State.
It's a big old fuck you to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
It's you know what? If you can't stay healthy, we're getting this guy to replace you already. We're thinking about moving on, which still makes no sense because this guy it's not gonna have any weapons.
Yeah.
Whether you start him or Aaron Rodgers. I mean, obviously Rodgers is still gonna start, but he's still got a couple years ahead of him.
Yeah. No, Rodgers has 4 years left in his contract, but I mean, we were talking a little bit before. You think it was a good move? It was besides the fact that it was a giant middle finger to Rodgers, but do you think it was a good move?
I don't think it was the best move. I think they should have gone for a wide receiver. At the end of the day, they're the ones that are looking bad. Aaron Rodgers, I'm pretty sure he got upset.
Yeah.
But I can see why they got the QB. I can see why. I don't think it was time yet.
Here's the thing. I understand what they're doing. Obviously, they're setting themselves up for the future. There was some quotes coming out of Green Bay saying that, you have to think, you're not just as a Green Bay executive, you're not just thinking about the Green Bay Packers of 2020, 2021. You have to think of the Green Bay Packers of 2028. Great. I get that. Fantastic. But if you look, the next quarterback taken wasn't in the first round. I think they could have stayed put or moved into the second round, not giving up so much. But
I still got him.
Yeah, but the thing is, Aaron Rodgers has 4 years left in his contract. 4 years left in his contract. Wow. That's plenty of time for Jordan Love to learn to do this. It's all going to be depending how Rodgers handles this. If he's going to go the route that Brett Favre laid for him and said, you know what, screw you, you're my replacement. Why am I going to help you? Or just do the opposite. But I don't think Rodgers has a history of being such a nice guy. I thought this thing if Rodgers is going to treat Jordan Love as if he was family. But you know what, Rodgers, how he treats his family, right?
Wait, what was that again?
You know how Rodgers treats his family?
How?
More research for you. So then we're go all over. Treats him like shit. Come on, it's everybody knows that. Clearly not. Anyway, but yeah. So this is one of those things where people were comparing. Oh well, then the Eagles in the next couple of rounds went over and they went for a quarterback and got Jalen Hurts, and Sure,
Yeah.
but it's not the same thing. The Eagles didn't actively trade up to get the quarterback of the future. We have the quarterback of the future already with Carson Wentz. He is the quarterback of the future. He's still young. And now adding Jalen
Yeah,
Hurts,
I think adding Jalen Hurts is just insurance, you know.
having insurance, maybe trying to run that Taysom Hill offense, and just having bulldoze in the 1 yard line, save Wentz those extra tackles. But yeah, I mean, it was good. It was a refreshing thing to see something live sports related. But at the end of the day, I think Miami set themselves up very well. Arizona got themselves in a position where it's going to be tough. And honestly, Arizona just got lucky. As they've been getting lucky. Like, oh, you want to trade DeAndre Hopkins to it? Sure. Oh, you're going to leave Isaiah there? Oh, sure. Oh, for whatever. We'll take him.
Got rid of David Johnson's contract.
Got rid of David Johnson's contract in that same trade with DeAndre Hopkins. So it's gonna be an interesting division. I think we should do that next week. Just breaking down what we think is gonna happen.
You were speaking of Taysom Hill. The Saints actually did pretty much almost signed a new quarterback, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I remember before in the offseason, Taysom Hill was like, well, when Breeze hadn't signed, he was being a little putting pressure on the organization, saying, hey, am I gonna start? I want to play as a quarterback. I want to this and that. It seems like they just poured some cold water over him and say, hey, relax. you sit behind Drew Brees until he says it's time to go. I mean, Drew Brees is set for life. He's gonna go into media after.
And then there's interest in Jameis Winston as well for a 1-year contract.
Yeah, so it's things can still happen before the season. If it even does happen, we hope things clear up soon. So there is live sports. We do get a full NFL season coming up. But other than that, anything else on the draft?
Honestly, I mean, the Rams signed Todd Gurley's replacement, Cam Akers.
Yeah.
5'10", 217 pounds. Honestly, I'm not too sure about this guy. I'm hoping he does good. But a lot of pressure is going to be on his shoulders, replacing Todd Gurley.
Definitely. I didn't tell you this, but I actually sent a couple of DMs right now, or a little bit earlier, about trying to get an interview with a local San Diegan who just signed for the Eagles. We don't know if he's going to respond, but yeah. So it was a good draft. It was interesting. I do miss people actively booing Goodell, not just cheering because in the back. Some of those people were plants.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way all those people were cheering for Goodell. Like,
I mean, part of what I was looking forward to this draft too is this guy I went to high school with. He was actually in the draft, but he didn't get drafted. Hopefully he gets signed as an undrafted free agent. But I mean, it would be pretty cool to see him get signed. But at the end of the day, it's always a business.
Yeah. And so with that, I think we're going to go ahead and move into The Last Dance. Episodes 3 and 4 came out yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think the best 2 episodes so far.
Oh, yeah.
First episode, we saw it was focused on Dennis Rodman, who, I don't know, man. Dennis is, I don't want to say anything, but I don't think I'd hang out with Dennis.
I mean, he looks like he's a random person, He looks, he's, I don't know if I'm saying a crazy guy.
Whoa, hey. All right.
But he's definitely out. If anything, he's a person that I would. Yo, okay.
It seems like we're having a little bit of technical issues, but from what I hear,
Yeah.
Chiba say is that Um, Dennis Rodman is a eclectic individual. Dennis Rodman is a person who, I mean, if Michael Jordan has to pick you up from Vegas and has to go through a naked Carmen Electra to drag you out to practice, I think you're in a special category for individuals. I don't think any of us are going to be getting picked up by Michael Jordan in my hotel room anytime soon.
I mean, honestly, he's the type of guy that you would want to be his friend.
Yeah.
Because he's a tough guy. And the thing is, he doesn't have the motivation, but he's always ready to put in the work.
Yeah, and I mean,
and Michael Jordan said that when they were doing that drill, the Indian Chief, and they were running, like Rodman did 4 laps in front of everyone, like sprinting nonstop.
Yeah, what a jerk! I as soon as I said Indian runs, I was like, oh, I remember Indian runs, and there's always that one guy. Like it's usually if there's 10 people, there's 9 people who are like, all right, cool, we're gonna take it easy, we're gonna just jog, and then there's the one guy who's like, no, I'm just gonna blaze past everybody. But Dennis Rodman came over to the Bulls after he had won a couple championships in Detroit with the Pistons, the Bad Boys. And it was a team that, went down in history as one of the dirtiest teams to ever play the game. And
gotta love it.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people didn't love it, including one Michael Jordan, who got his ass beat by the Pistons. And they had to take a super Zen master like Phil Jackson to just corral everybody, concentrate everybody on the game. They were talking about how Scottie Pippen was how to focus himself, and how during that Eastern Conference Finals against the Pistons, he was getting pushed around even by Dennis Rodman himself. And then he just kept his composure, kept it cool, and that's how the Bulls came back and won the first one. What year were you born?
I was born in 97.
97. So, okay, so it's different because I'm in 92. Obviously, the first Bulls, I was 91. I wasn't born yet. Even the ones after that, I wouldn't be able to remember. But once they start moving into the 1998 season, I kind of remember stuff. There's segments in my life. There's my life before The Lion King. There's my life after The Lion King. There's a life between The Lion King and Hercules, 1997. So things started coming together in 97. And so I remember watching that team because I watch more sports. The 98, that Last Dance team, was around the same time as the 98 World Cup. But it was a good look inside. I love looking at all the logos. Again, I lose my shit when I see the old Gatorade. I love seeing that. But what have you enjoyed the most from seeing all these old school type of things?
Just how much the game has changed, I see it now, like the game, like a lot of it turned soft. Like there's a lot of spacing now, so I can see how Jordan would completely dominate in today's games, and I can see the argument being done why he's the greatest and LeBron is not on that level yet. But yeah, man, it was really physical, and you can get away with a bunch of stuff before. And to me, like I see people throwing punches, and still not getting ejected and stuff like that. I'm like, oh man, today's NBA would never allow this now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's that across all sports too. You watch old soccer games, old even baseball games. They had brawls all the time, and they actually hit each other. But yeah, it's a look into the past, and to think like if you're getting the shit beat out of you, and Michael Jordan was still able to be the best of all time, like you could just plot him wherever in history in basketball, and he'd be great. But it took everything in them to be able to beat that Pistons team. Jordan had to go in, had to actually train, put on some weight, and it's that legendary summer when he just came back and everybody just started working, and finally they were able to beat the Pistons. But then it fast forwards into that Last Dance season, and the man has the balls. Dennis Rodman has the balls to go and tell Phil, "Hey, I need a vacation." Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, straight up, man.
Just give me 48 hours. and then here's how Phil Jackson is. He doesn't even alert the president. He doesn't alert the bad guy from Space Jam.
Yeah.
Him dancing was the highlight of
man,
a couple of episodes.
But yeah, I mean, this guy takes 48 hours, and Jordan just straight up tells him, we're not going to see him in 48 hours.
Y bien que supo, and he knew.
Yep.
But yeah, so
I think it took like
go
like 3 days extra, right? Like from the 48 hours.
This was going to take a whole season extra had Jordan not gone. And so
for real.
And so that's the thing too, like for Phil Jackson to just say, like, to tell Jordan, let him do this. And Jordan be like, no, like, what are you talking about? You crazy? Like, let him do it. Cool. Imagine how this conversation went. All right, Jordan, it's been more than 48 hours. I need you to go get Dennis out. I need you to go pick him up. Okay, sounds good. Jordan gets in his car, gets over to the hotel, drags Dennis Rodman back, and it's one of those things, like, to be a fly on the wall on that, way down, because he was still in we went to the training facility.
In PJs.
He was still in PJs, bro.
Yeah, no. He's like, he does not give a fuck.
And so, and that's the thing we were talking about, Indian resident thing, and Rodman was just ready to go. He was just in peak form. He was like, sometimes after you come back for an injury, you gotta get that conditioning back. Nope, Rodman was ready to go. But it's one of those stories where I didn't know this story, and it's crazy that something like that would go down.
Yeah. And
then Isaiah Thomas.
That's the beauty of this documentary, man.
Yeah. And then Isaiah Thomas, who played on that Pistons team, that Bad Boys Pistons team, with Lambeer and stuff. How did you take that a whole handshake situation at the end of the game? Do you believe Isaiah Thomas when he says, it was just like passing the torch? It was not like no, fuck you. But how do you think? How do you take that?
Nah, I think it was a dick move. Like, yeah, you gotta shake hands after, even if you got your ass beat. It's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like in soccer, we get second place and you take off the medal, and you get the second place medal. It's kind of like.
Well, it's not even that. Like, these fools didn't even go to pick up their medal.
Just accept you lost. You got to be a good loser, Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's good winners and there's good losers as well, And you always want to be a good loser when it's your time to take the L. And those guys just left that mark of being the bad boys,
And I mean, I can see what they meant. As far as, like, when the Boston Celtics did this to us, they it was like passing of the torch. Now we're passing the torch. I can see that. But even then, in a sportsman-like sense, you just don't do that. And it was fun. Yeah. It was fun, having Jordan react to what Isaiah said. And then Horace Grant also had a great word. I think we have Horace Grant on the line right now. Let me see.
Straight up bitches.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So that's how they feel to this day. What's it called? Jordan still feels like that too. And can you? I can't blame the guys. I'd still be salty even if you won. Yeah. But yeah, that was a great little thing to see. And then moving over to the fourth episode, I think that's when things are starting to ramp up. You're starting to see Michael Jordan going up against Magic in the Forum.
Scottie Pippen. changing positions pretty much,
Yeah.
or changing that point guard position, how they set it into like a point forward position.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just revolutionary stuff. That once that triangle started working, and I love how I'm personally I'm learning more about basketball and the nuances and the technicalities of it. Again, those X's and O's. I'm not saying that I'm a super expert, but I can see, when Rodman was talking about rebounding, and if I ever do play basketball, I found rebounding to be the easiest thing, but apparently it's not. But I'm a goalkeeper, so going up for the ball and catching it, that's what we're supposed to do. And so the way Rodman was describing the rotation of the ball and this is how you do it. You gotta feel, and then you gotta.
Tack is gonna go that way. Tack is gonna go this way.
Yeah,
exactly,
and like he saw it, I'm like, that's exactly like in soccer. Like you just go for the ball, you see the rotation, gonna hit off somebody. You kind of know those little things.
It's gonna bounce off the ground. It's gonna be like that.
Yeah. So that was interesting to see, and again, I'm learning a lot more basketball as we go.
My favorite part of this 2 episodes was when they asked Collins, what was your like take on that last play, like on the shot?
Oh yeah.
Get the ball to Jordan and everybody get the fuck out the way.
To
me, that was hilarious, man.
Yeah, and there's just so many little. Who was in this episode? When they were talking about who should have covered Jordan.
Oh, what was his name? Like even Jordan said it. They should have put this guy on me, and they interviewed the guy. He said, "I told coach I got MJ, and they put the white guy on him, and this guy was like, man, fuck this bullshit." Like, who knows what would have happened? Even Jordan said this guy was covering me the best this whole game.
Yeah, and he knew. He knew, like, and it's one of those things where I look at, like, what would have happened had things like that would have happened. Would Jordan have actually, gone up and because even then, like, Jordan knew, like, he would have been in I want to say trouble, but it would have been different.
Maybe he doesn't make the shot. He doesn't win that ship,
Exactly. So I think it's the series is pretty much almost halfway, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. And it's been.
They released a picture for next week's episode, and it's kind of like when a young Kobe starts goes to the Lakers.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be pretty cool, honestly.
And something else I was gonna bring up, like Jordan when it first came out, he was talking about like, oh, people are not gonna like how I am. People are gonna think I'm an asshole. So far, I do not think Jordan is any much more of an asshole than I already knew he was, and not even an asshole. He's just a competitive guy, and
he's a winner.
He's a winner. He's
honestly a winner.
There's not.
And that's the thing in life, man. There's winners. There's people that have that mentality, and there's the softies that are like, "Well, no, you gotta be nice." And this, no. When you're an athlete, you gotta have that mentality. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win.
Definitely. And then when Jordan was asked, like, not even asked, like he brought it up, and let me see if I can bring it up.
Move the ball. It's just no iron team. Says an iron win.
That's all you need to know about Jordan right there.
It's the same mentality Kobe had, when Shaq told Kobe, "Hey, there's no one in the team." He said, "Oh, but there's an me in that motherfucker."
Yeah, exactly. And so it's that same killer instinct that you have to be such a elite player to be one of the greatest of all time. Yeah,
I think that's what separates Kobe and MJ from LeBron, honestly.
Yeah, and the thing is, before he had even won his first championship, or people were already comparing him to one of the greatest of all time. He won that championship against Magic, and that was a passing of the torch, and that was one of his first one to be with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson after winning your first championship. Like that, I just had to stop and to say, like, there's still more to this. They still won 5 more. That's how great Michael Jordan was. In his first championship, he was already in the conversation with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. But then he went on to win 5 more. And just blazed past everybody. So LeBron
and took a big break.
and took a
Between-
exactly to play baseball and
I can't wait for that part. I can't wait for that part to see what his mentality was on. Okay, I dominated this sport. Maybe I'm gonna try dominating a new one. Like that's crazy.
it's insane, man. But I'm looking forward to what is it now? It's episode 5 and 6. They're gonna, like I said, they're gonna talk about Kobe. And then
I'm hoping Allen Iverson has a little bit in it.
mhm,
I'm hoping they mention how he crossed that big moment where he crossed Michael Jordan.
mhm.
I think it was his rookie year. I want to see him mention Allen Iverson because Allen Iverson is a big deal too.
Yeah, no, definitely. And once it picks up, I think it's gonna move into, what happened that season. I'm waiting for that season. What happened when he went to play baseball? Like that's one of the things where I just need to know, and I hope they don't leave any stone unturned. That they just talk about it as it was, and just
and to see what it was like to make Space Jam.
well, that's the thing. That's something I always keep in the back of my mind. Like, Space Jam, I think, was released in 2000. We'll see, 1996. So, filming around 1994 or 95. So The Last Dance was everything after Space Jam too. So, there's still a lot of story to tell, and we're almost halfway through this.
Yeah.
And it's panning out to be just a great documentary. And I don't know, like, what's some of your favorite documentaries, sports
Crazy,
documentaries?
man. It's crazy how they actually sports documentaries.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a sports documentary. It's a sports movie. I like the Pele movie a lot.
well, that's
I don't
not
know
a
if
sports
you got the
documentary.
chance to see it.
I'm asking
What
for
was
sports documentaries.
Honestly, I haven't seen many.
Well, here's your chance to go because you're in quarantine, and I know you have Netflix, and I know you have stuff to illegally watch stuff too. So get on this.
Whoa,
The Two Escobars. Have you heard of this?
no.
So I'm giving you homework, and I'm gonna put you on the spot next week too, to make sure that you watched it because it's one of the greatest things of all time. 1996 World Cup. Escobar played for Colombia. Colombia also had a drug lord, Pablo Escobar, right? Great.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Both were killed. Great. Awesome. The reason why the Colombian soccer player was killed was because he
He
scored
missed a penalty, right? An own goal.
he scored an own goal in the 1996 World Cup. So it follows
I
these
heard about
two
that, yeah.
stories, and it's one of the most well put together documentaries ever, and I recommend it.
I'll add it to my list.
Put it on number 1. But yeah, so this Michael Jordan, I'm loving it. I'm learning about basketball, learning about
Yeah.
Jordan,
Oh yeah.
remembering the 90s. I remember a little bit more of the 90s than you do, but
No, yeah, for sure.
it's a great watch, man. I'm really enjoying it.
Mhm.
And so, moving on to football. Soccer is still not back because nothing is back. But we did have some news that the Dutch league, Eredivisie, yes, was suspended for the rest of the season.
They canceled the league, man. No champions, no relegations, like no nothing.
So how do you think that they handled this? I mean, they made a decision, something that a lot of other sports leagues haven't. I know there was another sports league, maybe I don't want to missay, but I think like Sweden or Belgium, maybe they canceled their league. However, they did award the championship to the first place team. Something.
Here's the deal, in my opinion.
Mhm.
If you didn't win it and mathematically you didn't have the title, you can't earn it. You can't get the title.
Mhm.
That's just me. I know people are gonna say, "Well, Premier League, Liverpool was way ahead already," and that's honestly a whole nother story because they were pretty far away. They needed 3 more points, but for like Ajax was a really tight race.
Yeah.
With who was in second place? Was it PSV?
Yeah. I believe so.
And honestly, like I think they should have. They should have just. They should. I mean, if they didn't have it, look, I'm trying to see the standings real
So yeah,
quick.
so we had Ajax in first place with 45. Excuse me,
They were,
50
they were tied with Alkmaar,
with
56
Akmar,
points.
AZ Akmar, then Feyenoord in third. So I mean, it was pretty tight. PSV in fourth.
Yeah, so you can't give them the title. You know, they're tied in points. Like, I mean, I think that Dutch league did the right thing, not awarding the title to anyone, especially when the race was so tight like that.
There have been reports coming out recently, as you know, as recent as a couple of hours ago, that state that Holland's league could reverse the decision to cancel season amid growing legal action. So this is one of the things that are still up in the air. There's just so much money involved with these soccer leagues, advertising, the TV, the sponsorships, the kits, the ticket sales, just everything's just so involved. You know, it's a lot of money. So
You get money when you win the title too. That's a thing.
yeah, and so
So
yeah,
I mean, it's really tough.
and I don't see, you know, again, they award the money, but where's that money come from? Because you're not making money, you're not bringing money in. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. But as of now, the 2020 season has ended. Still, it's crazy. You know, the current champions are still the champions who won the last league, which is Ajax. So technically, they're still the reigning champions. But it's going to be interesting, just seeing how this is going to work moving forward. We will ask one of our interviews coming up because we have some news coming up in this week. We're going to have an opportunity to interview somebody who's played in a World Cup, former U.S. men's national team soccer player and defender, scorer. He scored on Osvaldo Sanchez, which hurts me to the core. Jimmy Conrad. So he's going to be getting interviewed by us, or we're going to interview him. I think it's more of an honor that way. Coming on up. So if you guys have any questions for somebody who's playing the World Cup, maybe you know who Jimmy Conrad is. He's a pretty successful YouTube.
He's played against Pirlo, guys.
Yes, he's played against Pirlo. Pirlo is one of his favorite players. He played in the 2006 Germany World Cup. So you know that's going to be coming on up. He played here in San Diego State as well. SoCal guy. He actually retired me. What I consider my retirement, and we'll have that coming on up. But we'll ask him to see what he thinks the EPL should do about Liverpool and giving him, you know, about the league. It's just, you know,
I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to the guy, man. Where else are you gonna get a chance to talk to someone that's playing a World Cup? You know?
Yeah, definitely, and you know, I followed him since he came up onto my screen on YouTube. You know, he had this channel called Kick TV, and on Kick TV there used to be he had a segment called The Mixer, where he would talk about the top, you know, stories across the world in soccer. So that's something that's never happened, that I've always wanted. Like, I want something on YouTube to see, like, highlights and just compile everything in the soccer world together, international, European. And you know what? Honestly, like, he's one of those players that I can tell wants to grow the game, and I really appreciate that. And we'll get into that a little bit when we do interview him. Not sure when it'll come out, but we will have that coming up pretty soon. But yeah, I mean, we also
Last couple of things. I just want to say our condolences go to Chicharito.
Sí, vato.
In this hard times, Grandpa passed away. I know the feeling of losing Grandpa, man. It's tough.
Same.
And then especially when his grandpa is such a legend in Chivas and Guadalajara, you know.
Yeah, man.
And the fact that he can't really travel over there because of the whole coronavirus thing, really tough. He was actually on IG Live today with tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
But it made me happy to see all the support that he was getting on the comments.
Oh, definitely. You know, just a little bit behind the scenes. You know, between this community COVID shield that's been since postponed. You know, part of it was I personally had a family loss, and it's same situation where they're deep in Mexico and we couldn't travel and because of what's going on. So it's a really weird and just, you know, dystopian and it just
Yeah.
Surreal experience to go through. All our love to Chicha and his family in this time. Even I sent him a DM saying, "Hey, échale ganas, campeón."
Yeah.
But yeah, and so also when it comes to, I guess, technically, it is soccer related. I've just received information on my email saying that we are officially invited to the SD Loyal, and I know you have no idea about this. I didn't set it up, but because of your generous contribution and to the Team Nate and the Rady Children's Hospital, we have received a link for Tuesday, April 28th at 9:30 a.m. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have not. I didn't read that email.
We just got here. A Zoom meeting for San Diego Loyal to participate in their online Zoom workout.
Oh.
So, tomorrow's Tuesday. I think
Yeah, no, 9:30 you said? Man, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it.
You got stuff planned? You're gonna be out of town. You're gonna be.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna be sick at that around that time.
Bato, oh really? We're gonna be sick at that hour. Interesting.
Yeah.
Might want to use some. Unfortunately, here at Two Balls on the Bike, we don't have sick leave, sick pay, sick hours.
I think I have a date over on Warzone with some buddies of mine.
Oh, okay. Obviously, yeah. So, I might participate for a little bit just to say hi to the guys, and to get laughed at. But yeah, so we'll see. Maybe make a little video out of that. But in any case, yeah, that's gonna be fun. But in other news, just had been talks, and taking it back to the NBA and MLB about reopening practice facilities coming up. I know they had set a date as March 1st, where the NBA practice facilities are going to start opening. But as of a couple minutes ago, they said no, we're just going to go ahead and move it over to May 8th because the Atlanta Hawks didn't want to have it that early. There's still a lot of moving parts when it comes to the sports world. Not a lot of answers.
I know for the UPSL, which is a league that it's not professional, but it's a league that we were going to participate in by commentating as the Internacional. They have 3 options right now. Option 1 is starting the league in May and having 11 weeks to do 10 regular season games for the spring season and have the playoffs. The other thing is starting a little later and having just 10 weeks to do the 10 games. And the other one, it would be to cut it a little shorter and it wouldn't start till June. But that's the worst scenario. So hopefully by June they do start it. But it could start as early as in May.
Yeah, as early as May. And, in the MLB world, same thing. They're saying that there will be MLB. This is a quote. There will be MLB in 2020. It's just a matter of when, where, and how. So obviously there are parts moving in the sports world, moving towards having sports back. More than likely, it's going to have no fans. And even then, I doubt there's going to be, extended media. But if there is media, agárrense canijos, because we have press passes and we can hopefully.
Man, I miss actually going to Torero Stadium.
See, Vato, that was one of the funnest things that I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And
honestly, as long as there's still football going on, so we can focus on fantasy football for a bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, yes. Hopefully, we do get to go to watch soccer again and have those videos that were generating a lot of views.
And you know what? It's fine. We're still here. We're still creating content. You know what? Practice makes perfect.
Fun, man.
I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
Your painting in the back keeps getting more dramatic and with its sliding. But with that said, want to give a special shout out to Fierce Beats. Fierce Beats still supporting us. 10% off on his website for any type of beat. Use the promo code 2balls for a 10% off.
Yeah, and then also shout out to Tacos El Vaquero, who's still out there making deliveries and doing online pickups. So go ahead, follow him on Instagram, Tacos El Vaquero SD. And upcoming, we might have a future sponsor, which is pretty exciting. But we'll let that, as more info comes by, we'll let you guys know about that.
And hopefully, if you guys like the new logo, let us know. If you guys want a special color for the logo, let us know. We can maybe work that in. Hopefully, we get some merch as for us to look a little bit more official.
And stickers coming soon as well.
New stickers coming soon. So with that, really appreciate you guys tuning in. Leave your comments, like, share, subscribe, and have a great week. And we'll see you guys soon.
Later, everyone.